Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Planning Board, City of Paterson Planning Board meeting of Wednesday, May 18, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. via webinar session. Madam Chair, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, Commissioners, Planning Board staff, ladies and gentlemen, as Chairwoman of the City of Paterson's Planning Board, I call this meeting of 5/18/22 to order. I hereby state that all the provisions of the State of New Jersey Public Meeting Law have been fully and completely met, that the notice of provisions required have been properly posted in the Planning Board office and with the City of Paterson clerk, that the public notice and advertisements have been published in the Herald News on 5/6/22 for real things, and on 5/8/22 for Rosa Parks SHG JG LLC in accordance with the law, and that the copies of such notice and public advertisements are on file in the Planning Board office, as is also the agenda listing the applications to be taken up by the Planning Board at this meeting. The procedure tonight will be in accordance with the rules, regulations, and bylaws as heretofore determined by the Planning Board at its office in the municipal complex in the City of Paterson. Roll call, please.
Good evening, Chairwoman and Commissioners. Commissioner Udine is absent. Commissioner Ahmed.
Present.
Commissioner Cleaves.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Fisher is absent. Commissioner Niganzo.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Santana. Present. Thank you. Commissioner Amar.
Present.
Commissioner Roman is absent. Commissioner Figueroa.
Present.
Thank you. Councilman Kalik is absent. Chairwoman Northrop.
Present.
Thank you. We have 7 commissioners in attendance this evening. You may proceed.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, consistent with the coronavirus-related restrictions of Executive Order Number 107, given on Saturday, March 21st, 2020 by Governor Philip G. Murphy, the Planning Board of the City of Paterson will not conduct in-person participation of the public at all future meetings until further notice. However, public participation will be available by means of communication equipment pursuant to NJSA 10:4-8 commencing on April 15, 2020. Though there may potentially be a practical need for a limited number of administrative, technical, or other city personnel to be present in or near the City Council chambers, 3rd floor, City Hall, 155 Market Street, Paterson, New Jersey, in-person participation of the public is prohibited. Nevertheless, for reasons of compliance with the said Executive Order Number 107, public participation will be available by calling 1-973-321-1579 and the meeting ID number 711-680-001, and I will repeat that later on during the course of the meeting. On the date and time that this meeting is scheduled to commence, which is this evening. The public may also participate in the meeting by accessing the website of the City of Paterson at www.patersonnj.gov and following the email link for the meeting, www.patersonnj.gov. Okay. This evening we have 2 applications on the agenda. One is for Bernard Acevedo, 40-42 Nagle Street, Block 5006, Lot 5. And the other one is JCM Investors 1012 LLC 166-170 Rosa Parks Boulevard, Block 3212, Lot 15. We will begin this evening with Bernard Acevedo, 40-42 Nagle Street, Block 5006, Lot 5, who will be representing this applicant this evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Alan Maricondo on behalf of the applicant. Madam Chair, I just wanted to indicate, if I could, for the record, we are amending the applicant's name to read NJ Real Estate Asset Holding LLC, which is reflected in Mr. Deutsch's review. That is actually the owner and now the applicant to be designated.
Okay, thank you. So noted. I also want to ask if any of the commissioners here this evening could possibly put themselves on the camera so the public can see you, it would be greatly appreciated. And also some of the others, I see, Mr. Anderson on and so forth and so on. So please, if you can do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so, the applicant, I'm gonna still call it Bernard Acevedo, because I don't remember the whole name that you just gave me, but it is on the record. The applicant proposes, to subdivide the existing 5,000 square foot parcel into 2 lots. Proposed lot 5.01 is to contain a proposed 3-story, 2-unit dwelling on a proposed 2,500 square foot lot. The proposed lot 5.02 is to contain the existing 2-family dwelling on a proposed 2,500 square foot lot. This proposal is located within the R2 low medium density residential district. Proposed lot 5.01 requests variances for lot area 5,000 square feet is required and 2,500 square feet is proposed. Lot width 50 feet required and 25 feet proposed. Side yard setback 4 feet required and 3 feet proposed on the north side and 3.004 feet proposed on the south side. Combined side yard setback 14 feet required and 6.0 feet proposed. Rear yard setback 20 feet required and 16 feet proposed. Lot coverage 40% permitted and 49% proposed. And parking, 4 off-street parking spaces required and 0 off-street parking spaces provided. Proposed lot 5.02 requests variances for lot area 5,000 square feet required, 2,500 square feet proposed. Lot width 50 feet required and 25 feet proposed. Front yard setback 20 feet required and 5 feet existing. Side yard setback 4 feet required and 0.8 feet existing. And 1.7 feet proposed as a result of the subdivision. Combined side yard setback 14 feet required and 2.57 feet proposed. Lot coverage 40% required and 48.12% proposed. And parking, 4 off-street parking spaces required and 2 off-street parking spaces are proposed as tandem. This requires a minor subdivision approval, site plan approval on both variances, and it is their first appearance. Mr. Deutsch, first of all, Mr. Maricondo, you are representing this applicant this evening.
Yes, I am, for the record. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, and so now I will ask Mr. Deutsch this evening if you would like to please give us your review.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Property taxes and sewer charges are paid to date. Bernard Acevedo, providing an address of 40 Nagle Street, the sole stockholder of NJ Real Estate Asset Holding LLC. It's indicated on the survey subdivision plan prepared by Galliano, Harris and Associates and dated March 11, 2021. Parcel is located on the western side of Nagle Street and contains a 2.5-story frame dwelling on the northern side of the parcel and a concrete driveway on the southern side of the parcel. A chain link fence is extended along the front and rear property lines, and a retaining wall is located along the southern and western side of the building. The existing 2-family dwelling appears to have been built in the 1920s and is in average condition according to the tax assessor's report. The lot has frontage of 50 feet on Nagle Street, a rear lot line that also measures 50 feet, and northern and southern side property lines that each measure 100 feet. The parcel is 50 feet south from the southwest intersection of Nagle Street and Murray Avenue and has total area of 5,000 square feet or 0.11 acres. The survey minor subdivision plan also indicates that the proposed subdivision line dividing the existing 5,000 square foot subject property into 2 lots. Proposed lot 5.01 is to contain a new 3-story, 2-family dwelling with 3 bedrooms in each unit on a 2,500 square foot lot. Proposed lot 5.02 is to contain the existing 2.5-story, 2-family dwelling on a 2,500 square foot lot. Both proposed lots 5.01 and 5.02 will have a width of 25 feet. Each lot requires a lot area variance as the minimum lot size in the R2 zone is 5,000 square feet and 2,500 square feet is proposed. Also, each proposed lot requires a lot width variance as a minimum lot width of 50 feet is required and 25 feet is proposed. Heritage Madison Architecture has prepared a 4-page architectural plan dated April 6, 2021. Drawing T01 indicates the title of the project, the location map, the zoning map, the curb and sidewalk detail, the paving detail, the existing site plan, the proposed site plan, the proposed front elevation plan, and the zoning data table and notes. According to the proposed site plan, the existing dwelling to remain on proposed lot 5.02 exists at 5 feet from the front property line, and the minimum front yard setback is 20 feet. The minimum side yard setback is 4 feet on each side, and the minimum combined side setback is 14 feet for the R2 zone. This proposed lot provides 0.8 feet and 1.77 feet for the northern and southern setbacks respectively, as well as a minimum combined setback of 2.57 feet. Lot coverage of 40% is permitted, and 48.12% is proposed. 4 off-street parking spaces are required, and 0 off-street parking spaces are proposed. The applicant has requested variances for all of the above mentioned for proposed lot 5.02. The applicant has requested a waiver for parking on the asphalt driveway within the front yard setback. If approved, the parking shall set back 3 feet from the front property line and shall be screened from the street by shrubs or a decorative wall at least 2 feet but not exceeding 4 feet in height. The proposed site plan also indicates that the existing concrete driveway and the retaining walls on proposed lot 5.01 are to be removed for the new construction. Proposed lot 5.01 requires a minimum setback of 4 feet on each side and a minimum of 14 feet combined side yard setback. This proposed lot provides 3 feet on the north side and 3.04 feet on the south side and 6.16 feet of combined side setback. Also, the minimum rear yard setback requirement is 20 feet, and this proposed lot provides 16 feet. The lot coverage of 40% is permitted and 49% is proposed. 4 off-street parking spaces are required and 2 are proposed in the garage in a tandem arrangement. All of the above mentioned require a variance for proposed lot 5.01. The proposed site plan indicates the location of the existing 2-family dwelling to remain and the location of the proposed 2-family dwelling on the proposed lot. No changes to the existing dwelling on proposed lot 5.02 are proposed. According to the proposed site plan, all curbs and sidewalks are to be replaced in conformance with the City of Paterson Engineering Department standards. The proposed front elevation view of the new 2-family dwelling indicates the garage door and the building's 2 entry doors to the right. An exterior staircase provides access from ground level to the first and second residential units. The front elevation also indicates a horizontal siding and a triple window for the second and third floors and 1 round decorative window for the second floor. The proposed building measures 29.7 feet in height. Drawing SP01 indicates the stormwater drainage report for proposed lot 5.01 and the stormwater calculations for both proposed lots. The roof leader detail is also shown on this drawing. Drawing A01 indicates the ground level, first floor, as well as the second and third floor plans for the proposed 3-story 2-family dwelling on proposed lot 5.01. Each of the 2 proposed units within the dwelling will be occupied by a 3-bedroom unit, therefore each unit requires 2 off-street parking spaces. The ground level and the second floor indicate a 3-bedroom unit which contains a total area of 2,343 square feet. The first floor plan indicates a 2-car tandem garage, 436 square feet of unfinished storage room, a laundry closet, a mechanical closet, a half bathroom, and an internal staircase to access the second floor. The second floor plan indicates 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a laundry room, and 2 full bathrooms. An exterior staircase leads to 2 entry doors, of which 1 entry door provides access to the first floor duplex residential unit and the garage, and the second one provides access to the third floor residential unit. Third floor indicates a 3-bedroom unit of 1,169 square feet that includes a kitchen, a living and a dining area, a laundry room, and 2 full bathrooms. The attic floor plan indicates 782 square feet of unfinished attic space for storage and mechanical placement for the second residential unit only. Drawing A02 indicates the elevation plans for the rear, right, and left sides. The rear elevation indicates a horizontal siding, a single window for the first floor, a triple window for each of the second and third floors. The left side elevation plan indicates a front porch and staircase and an egress door to access the parking garage. On the left side elevation, a horizontal siding has been considered for the facade, and single windows are provided on all floors. The right side elevation is mirrored the left side, but provides single and double windows on all floors. The building has a gable roof and indicates a height of 29.7 feet. There is no requirement for an open space area for a 2-family dwelling in the R2 zone. However, the applicant provides 400 square feet and 984 square feet of open space at the rear yard for proposed lots 5.01 and 5.02 respectively. The storage unit on the first floor has the potential to be converted into an illegal third unit. The applicant shall consider turning the storage room into 2 storage rooms for the benefit of the 2-family units. Said revision and modification to the interior and access doors shall be reviewed and approved by the Division of Planning and Zoning. Shall be the responsibility of the applicant and/or the preparer of the plan to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating the plans have been satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plans being released to the construction official. If approved, the applicant shall file a subdivision plan in conformity with the map filing law or a deed clearly describing the approved minor subdivision. The chairman and secretary of the planning board shall sign the deed. Also, the applicant shall indicate in the recorded deed that the first and second floors will be occupied by 1 family only, and the building will remain as a 2-family residential unit. Surrounding land use. This proposal is located in the Stony Road section of the city and represents a variety of land uses such as residential and mixed residential and commercial use. The surrounding area is predominantly residential, consisting of older 2 and 2.5-story structures. Some properties provide off-street parking on their side and or rear yards. On-street parking is observed along Nagel Street. A 2.5-story residential building to the north and east, and a 3-story residential dwelling to the south of the proposed are the uses surrounding the parcel. Also, Pennington Park is within the walking distance of the subject property. In conclusion, the applicant estimates the cost of this proposal at approximately $250,000. That is your staff review for this proposal, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Deutsch. I just want to clarify that, Mr. Acevedo, we're going to be doing this in the 2-part this evening, correct? One for the
Yes,
subdivision?
Yes,
And one for the site plan?
correct.
Okay, just clarifying that for now. All right, so at this time, Mr. Mariconda?
Yes, again, good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. We'll be presenting Mr. Evans, who is standing in for Heritage Architecture this evening, and the subdivision presenter, Mr. Galliano, as well. With regard to site plan and subdivision presentation, we will be presenting just Mr. Evans and the applicant to confirm and ratify testimony. Let me just say before calling Mr. Evans that essentially we're in agreement with Mr. Deutsch's report. We do agree that there is a waiver sought for parking on the asphalt driveway within the front setback, which will be addressed as part of our plan and will be addressed. We also agree with Mr. Deutsch's suggestion and recommendation that with regard to the storage area on the first floor, we would accept the turning that storage area into 2 storage rooms for the benefit of the 2-family units. So it's eliminating any potential for any sort of illegal conversion. And frankly, that's a very easy change on the plan, which we could submit to Mr. Deutsch post-hearing if that was acceptable. after the hearing tonight. And, other than that, that would be, our opening comment. I will call Mr. Evans at this time.
Okay?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Say your full name for the record.
Matthew Evans, architect planner, 470 Chamberlain Ave, Paterson, New Jersey.
Thank you. We accept him as an expert witness. Please proceed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Evans will post, Heritage Architecture site plan, which also incorporates the subdivision.
Okay, so basically what we could look at first, we'll look at the existing site plan. It's a 50 by 100 lot. It's very standard in the throughout the city. We have an existing 2.5 story frame dwelling to the right side or the north side of the lot, and then we have basically a vacant area which is impervious and has a mix of walls and concrete and some parking there. What we're proposing is.
I'm sorry, Mr. Evans, can you enlarge that a little bit?
Is that better?
A little bit more. If you could.
Let me see what I can do. I don't know.
If you can't, just do what you can. But it was like really I need help.
I'll zoom in and I'll move around.
There you go. Got it. Okay.
Okay. Here's, you can see existing site plan, Nagel Street, and then what we have is we have a 50 by 100, and we're proposing to subdivide that to two 2,500 square foot parcels. These parcel sizes are consistent with the neighborhood. They're consistent with the R2 zone, and they are basically scattered throughout this stony road section of Paterson, and as you may know, other areas. And also, as you can see, that the existing house was built on this one 2,500 parcel to the north, and leaving that other one for future development, consistent with many of these buildings that are throughout the city. So, as far as the subdivision, that would be how we were proposing that subdivision, going to the criteria. 5,000 square foot is required, and 50 feet frontage is required, and we would be proposing 2,525 for each of those parcels, and that would be as far as the subdivision of the property, that would be the biggest variances that we would see. The only variances, I guess, for as far as the subdivision.
Right, and there's no change to the existing house, is that right?
Correct.
Right, okay. So you can, if you wish, you can proceed with any other highlights on the zoning chart.
Okay, so that's basically what would be on the subdivision part of it.
Right.
And then going to the site plan, looking at the site plan, we have a proposed 3-story dwelling with 2-car stack parking, and also circulation for vehicles getting in and out in the front of the property. We have a 20-foot setback consistent with the R2 zone, and then we have 16 feet setback in the rear. It's a little shy of 20 feet, but we do provide 400 square feet of open space. So that would be, the other thing is 3.13 on the north side, 3.04 on the south side of the building, and that would be consistent with many of these homes, 2 families that have been proposed with the 2,500 square foot parcel. The curb cut would be to the south, consistent with the existing curb cut, but there would be all new curbs, sidewalks, and site improvements for proposed lot 5.01. Lot 5 would remain. Then going to the second page is basically drainage calculations and some engineering requirements. And then we have A1, which shows the floor plan, the ground floor, second floor, and third floor. Mr. Deutsch elaborated somewhat on the layout of these units and the floor plans. And I would agree with Mr. Deutsch, we could divide that storage area so both tenants would have the ability to have storage on the ground floor level. So that would, if this were to be approved, we would make an amended plan dividing that into basically 436 square feet would be 218 square feet of storage for each of the units. The ground floor has the 2-car parking, powder room in the garage, and then laundry facilities, mechanical. And then there's a stair that accesses directly to the second floor unit. Second floor unit is 1,138 square feet. It meets the 1,100 square feet minimum for a 3-bedroom. It has 2 full baths. The master bedroom has 2 large walk-in closets. And then we have 200 square foot bedrooms in addition to the main bedroom. We have a nice open floor plan for the living space, living, dining, and kitchen. That's all open living. And then there is another washer, dryer on that level. And then we have living room at the top unit, and that unit is 1,169 square feet, and that shows a nice open floor plan with an open stairwell, consistent with the other one, a little bit more open than the lower unit. And then the rear is basically consistent with the other plan. Then there's a small attic plan which shows basically it's going to be for just basically unfinished plywood deck and a drop down stair that would access that for maintenance for the furnace and maybe some seasonal storage above. Looking at the last sheet, which is the elevations. So we have the showing the remainder of the elevations. We have the left side, the right side showing the stair going up to the main level with both to enter both apartments. And then we have siding, shingles, different materials to break up the side that way. So looking at the front page again, going to the front, we have a nice wide entry stair that enters to both apartments. And then there's a canopy over that protecting it with architectural windows and has a nice detail with a reverse gable on the roof, giving some aesthetic curb appeal. So that's basically the structure and the site plan.
Okay, Mr. Evans, just to follow up, Mr. Deutsch alluded to the fact that we are providing some very substantial open space area, even though it's not a requirement in the R2 for this type of development.
Correct.
So, again, both lots are going to be afforded either 400 or 984 square feet of open space, which provides the residents with that access for air and light, so to speak.
Yeah,
correct?
recreational, passive recreation in the back.
Great. Okay, and you again alluded to the condition that Mr. Deutsch talked about earlier. Again, you did an analysis, I know, of the overview of the site, which is part of Mr. Deutsch's report as well. He talked about the fact that this area is predominantly older 2.5 story, some 2, some 3 family residential dwellings, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay. He indicated also that some of the residential dwellings provide off-street parking, some do not. Is that right?
Correct.
And he also pointed out that there is substantial on-street parking along Nagle Street as well.
Right, like to the south of our property, there's a house that faces the next street, and that would be so basically there's no curb cuts or anything about 100 feet up to the south, so that is all open curb side parking. So there's a lot of on-street parking available, consistent with some of those large houses that face opposite streets. So it has the ability to park Nagle Street pretty well.
In addition to the open space that we talked talked about, we're very close across the street to Pennington Park, is that right, for recreation?
Yeah, so you've got, you cross, McBride Avenue and Murray, it's right there,
Right.
on the other side of McBride.
And of course, there is also a bus route on McBride Avenue.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have, Madam Chair, at this time for Mr. Evans.
Okay, and you said you have the applicant?
Yes, I do have Mr. Acevedo to confirm.
Okay, would you, let's swear Mr. Acevedo in, and then I'll open it up to the public, please.
Where is he?
That's what I'm trying to see.
Good evening.
I see his name, but I don't see him.
Bernard, is that picture with the picture on?
There you go.
Not
No.
yet.
Camera.
Your camera.
Okay, there we go, I see him. Okay, I see him now, okay, good. Please swear him in.
Please raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your full name for the record.
Bernardo Acevedo.
Thank you. Good evening, Bernard. You are in fact the principal of NJ Real Estate Asset Holding LLC, is that right?
Yes.
And as that entity is the owner of the property now, we're also amending our application to reflect that name designation, correct?
Correct.
And you've had an opportunity to hear Mr. Deutsch's report, as well as Mr. Evans' testimony on your behalf?
I did.
And are you in full agreement?
Absolutely, yes.
And you understand the conditions that we discussed with the planning staff through his report regarding the division of the storage area to be shared by the tenants?
Yes.
You're in agreement to that? Okay. And any other modifications that are contained in Mr. Deutsch's report or the board's recommendations, if there are to be a motion for approval, you understand that those would be binding upon you, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You are obviously a Patersonian. You have developed and you manage real estate in Paterson.
I have.
You have some experience in building small two families as well.
Yes.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to open it up to the public. If there's anyone from the public that has any questions of either Mr. Evans or Mr. Acevedo, then please call in at 973-321-1579. The meeting ID number is 711-680-001. I don't see anybody, but I'm gonna ask Madam Secretary, do we have any callers right now?
No, we do not. I'm just
Okay.
confirming with IT, but until then, you can proceed with
Yeah. I'll be happy to do that. I'm going
Thank
to, I'm gonna allow, for call-ins, I'm gonna allow, 2 minutes for the call-ins and 3 minutes for any questions they may have. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm gonna move along and talk to the board, the commissioners. Commissioners, any questions of either of these, persons, Mr. Evans or Mr. Acevedo? Commissioner.
Commissioner Cleese, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner, please.
I'm trying to understand. Okay, this dwelling, one side, is it a two-family? And then the other side, a one-family? Or
2 and 2.
two families on both sides?
Yes.
But that one side is gonna be 2.5 stories high?
The existing, as per Mr. Deutsch's zoning analysis, the height of the existing property is 2.5 stories, correct? And then the proposed one is 3. Both of those height dimensions are within the permitted height.
Okay. I would like to also add to that, if I'm not mistaken, if she's asking the same question that I'm gonna answer here, the, third floor, if I'm not mistaken, is basically the attic.
Yes,
And that is basically for storage, like for the air conditioning units or whatever it is that we put up there. Am I correct?
Well, we have, on the new house, there's the garage level and storage. And then we have the first floor is going to be the 3-bedroom, and the second floor, 3-bedroom. And then there's an attic, which is really not
Chair, we also meet the storage requirement, but in addition, we're substantially below the actual height requirement.
Right,
We're actually proposing, 29 feet in one case and 29.75 in the other, whereas the total max permitted is 35.
right. Well, the basic crawl space, I'm gonna call it crawl space up there in the attic. It's a very good idea that it's being proposed, that the storage area on the first floor be divided for the two apartments, because it's gonna be very difficult. I mean, I know what they're talking about, it's a drop-down stairwell, am I correct, that comes down?
Yes.
Is it, Mr. Evans, is it a drop-down stairwell, like that comes down and goes up to the attic?
The code allows you to just have a scuttle, but, you know, nowadays everybody has a drop-down stairs, so
Right.
it's a lot easier to access.
Right, but it's still a crawl space, so they have to do the storage on the first floor is far better. Okay,
We're very
so,
careful to keep the height limitations well below the required.
And there's
Understood.
no heating or cooling up there, it's just gonna have insulation and, you know, the usual.
okay, alright, so that was my mistake. Alright, Commissioner Cleese?
So again, on one side of the structure, they will have storage on the lower level.
Both floors will have it on the lower level.
Both floors will have it on the lower level.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's also to avoid any illegal apartments on that first floor. If you leave it the way it is, it's very easy to put an illegal apartment in there, and so that will avoid that as well.
Okay. Questions answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cleese. Commissioners?
Madam Chair, we have no callers at this time.
Okay, well, I don't hear, my question was originally, I couldn't see it on the plan, where the open space was, but then I did see it, so that answered my question about the open space. I'm glad that they're giving some open space to both. So, okay, last time, commissioners, if there's no questions, I'm going to ask Mr. Mariconda to summarize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the application is presented in full at this time. I think it's a pretty standard and hopefully a very beneficial proposal to provide new quality housing where we have been able to provide, as you've talked about, open space, easy access to nearby recreational facility and bus transportation. This is a state-of-the-art new two-family with all the proper amenities to raise the standard of quality of life as per new housing should. And so we respectfully ask the board to grant this as something that's very similar to prior approvals granted by this board in the R2 zone. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, would any commissioner like to make a motion on this application?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just two quick points. One, obviously, we're gonna take a vote on the subdivision first.
Yes.
Second, on the site plan and the bulk variances, the condition would be a modification to the plans on the storage room to be split evenly, one for each floor, but one for each family. But that would be on the site plan and bulk variances motion if one were so made.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so commissioners? Okay, so no commissioner wants to make a motion. Okay, Commissioner Santana, you'll make a motion on this application. We're gonna do the subdivision first.
All right. So it's, okay, the application is NJ Real Estate, not as was on the agenda, right? I just wanted to.
Yes, it's NJ Real Estate Asset Holdings LLC.
Perfect.
Commissioner Santana, just to play it safe, do it in the name of Bernard Acevedo and or NJ Real Estate Asset LLC, just to cover both bases. And on the subdivision motion, it's strictly subdivision. All the other points made in the review apply to the site plan and bulk variances motion.
All right. So I don't have you said the name is, one more time, I'm sorry, Acevedo?
Well, it's going to be under NJ Real Estate Asset Holdings and or Bernardo Acevedo, correct? Mr.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm ready. I would like then to make a motion for approval for the applicant NJ Real Estate Assets Holding LLC, 40 Negron Street, Paterson, New Jersey, 07501.
And or
As Bernardo
Bernardo
Acevedo. Acevedo, yes. For the property located at 4042 Negro Street, block 5006, lot 5. For minor subdivision, is stating, what the Mr. Acevedo stated,
Yeah, that, on this motion, Commissioner, it's just on the minor subdivision.
Okay,
It's not the minor
perfect.
subdivision.
On the
Do I
minor
have a-
subdivision.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Second, okay, Commissioner Lorenzo. Roll call, please.
Commissioners, Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Cleaves,
Yes.
Commissioner Liranzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Santana,
Yes?
Commissioner Amar,
Yes.
Commissioner Figueroa,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Northrop.
Yes.
7 in the affirmative, this application has been granted.
Okay, so now I'm gonna open it up, to commissioners. Would someone like to make a motion
I would like to make a
on the
motion.
site plan? Okay, Commissioner Santana, go ahead, please.
I would like to make a motion for approval for the applicant NJ Real Estate Assets Holding LLC, 40 Negro Street, Paterson, New Jersey, 07501, and/or Bernardo Acevedo, for the property located at 4042 Negro Street, block 5006, lot 5. The approval subject to site plan approval, built variance, city engineer, Hudson X Passaic Soil Conservation Service, County of Passaic for minor subdivision approval or examination.
This would be for the bulk site plan, and bulk variance approval with the condition on the storage space being modified to be 2 storage spaces, one for each unit. That would be the motion.
On the lower floor, right,
On the lower floor.
All right, so that will cover the motion, right?
That's it.
yes.
Mhm.
All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Lorenzo. Okay, second the motion, and we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioners, Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Cleaves,
Yes.
Commissioner Liranzo,
Yes.
Commissioner Santana,
Yes?
Commissioner Amar,
Yes.
Aw.
so sorry,
God bless you.
thank you, Commissioner Figueroa,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Northrop.
Yes.
There are 7 votes in the affirmative, this application has been granted.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Acevedo.
We appreciate it, thank you, have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, you too. Okay, thank you, Mr. Maricondo, Matt Evans. Okay, now we'll move on to the second application. It's JCM Investors 1012 LLC, 166-170 Rosa Park Boulevard, Block 3212, Lot 15. Who is representing JCM Investors? Is it Mr. Sarlo?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman. Good evening. Charles Sorrell on behalf of the applicant.
Yes, thank you. Okay, the applicant proposes to remove the existing 2 1/2 story buildings and the detached garage to construct a new 4-story residential building with a total of 18 residential units. The first floor proposes a lobby and elevator, 2 staircases, a package room and refuge recycle room, a sprinkler room, and 17 total parking spaces. Each of the second, third, and fourth floors proposes 3 one-bedroom units, 3 2-bedroom units, and 134 square feet of tenant storage room. The roof floor proposes a mechanical area and a rooftop terrace and amenity area. The subject property has an area of 7,225 square feet. This proposal is within the RA-2 zone of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. Variances are requested for the following front yard setback, as 3 feet is required and 0 feet is proposed from Harrison Street. Okay, and the rear yard setback is 20 feet is required and 15 feet is proposed. Building stories as 3.5 stories are required and 4 stories is proposed. Maximum building coverage as 60% is required and 77% is proposed. Maximum impervious surface and coverage as 80% is required and 95% is proposed. And parking as 19 off-street parking spaces are required and 17 parking spaces, including 3 electric vehicle charging stations, are proposed, and as 3 feet of setback is required between the parking and the northern property line, and 0 feet is proposed. It requires site plan approval and bulk variances. This is their first appearance. And, let's see. Okay, adoption of this resolution. Okay, so, just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, good enough. All right, so, I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Sarlo. Mr. Sarlo, would you like to begin?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, and also, for the record, somewhat consistent with the prior application, we need to amend, the applicant's name. I did send in a letter, prior to the hearing, 10 days prior, that the correct applicant, is 166 Rosa Parks, PFRG, SHG, JG, LLC. And that is also the property owner. And it is mutual ownership with the JCM investors, but that is the correct applicant. We did, like I said, I did submit a amended application with the applicant name change, and I did publish my own legal notice with the correct applicant.
May I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, can you repeat the name of the 166 Rosa Parks?
Yeah, so it's 166 Rosa Parks, and then it's PFRG space SHG space JG, comma LLC.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I'm writing it down as well. Okay, good enough. So this time I'm gonna turn it over to, Mr. Deutsch for your review.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Property taxes and sewer charges are current. Persons having a 10% or greater ownership interest in 166 Rosa Parks, PFRG, SHG, JG, LLC, or Matthew Florio, providing an address of 175 Broadway, Paterson, New Jersey, Alan Shanefecker, Raymond DeBooty, and Rodney DeBooty, all providing an address of 11 Middle Neck Road, Suite 400A, Great Neck, New York, and John Jonish, providing an address of 14 Pond Park Road, Great Neck, New York. As indicated on the property survey prepared by James Pica and dated February 11, 2019, the parcel is located on the northwest intersection of Rosa Park Boulevard and Harrison Street and contains a 2.5-story frame dwelling and a detached garage. A chain link fence is located on the northern property line. Also, a retaining wall, which is encroaching to the public right-of-way on Rosa Parks Boulevard, is extended along the north, south, and east side of the subject property. Parcel is fronted to 58.69 feet on Rosa Parks Boulevard and 123.11 feet on Harrison Street, a rear lot line of 58.69 feet, and a northern lot line that measures 123.11 feet, and has area of 7,225 square feet or 0.16 acres. An existing 2.5-story residential dwelling is located to the north, and a 2-story residential building is to the west of the proposal. Also, a 16-story high-rise senior residence, Dr. Norman Cotton Residence, is located to the north of the subject property, and a vacant lot is across Harrison Street from the subject property. Evans Architect has prepared a 5-page architectural submittal revised on April 29, 2022. Drawing S1 is the site plan details and indicates the 200-foot radius map, the concrete sidewalk, the barrier-free parking detail, the recharge pit section, the existing site plan, the proposed site plan, and the zoning data table and notes. The proposed site plan indicates that the proposed building is to cover 95% of the lot and has an approximate dimension of 53.5 feet in width and 105 feet in length. The building is proposed to be 3 feet from the Rosa Parks Boulevard front property line, 0 feet from the Harrison Street front property line, and 5.1 feet from the northern property line. The site plan also indicates an open landscaped area along the rear property line as well as the Rosa Park Boulevard front property line. A 24-foot curb cut is proposed from Harrison Street, which provides vehicular access to the building's parking garage. A note on the plan indicates that the entire site and site perimeter is to be equipped with video security throughout public areas and site lighting along the traveled public way and parking area. Surveillance cameras are to connect to the City of Paterson Police Department system. The placement of the security camera and the site lighting are indicated on the proposed site plan. Drawing A1, titled as floor plans, indicates the first floor, the second through fourth floors, and the roof floor plan. The proposed first floor plan indicates the lobby, the elevator, the mailboxes, package room, the sprinkler room, the refuse recyclable room, 2 staircases, and the parking garage accommodating 17 parking spaces, of which 1 space is a handicap parking space and 3 spaces are equipped with electric vehicle charging stations. The first floor plan indicates 15 parking spaces are to be placed inside the parking garage, and 2 parking spaces are proposed outside of the parking garage on the rear yard's paved area. According to section 400-2.7 of the Land Development Ordinance, the parking spaces shall be set back 3 feet from the property line abutting a residential use. The applicant proposed 0 feet to the northern property line, therefore a variance is required. Each parking space inside the garage is measured 9 feet in width and 18 feet in length, and the handicap parking space is measured 8 feet in width and 18 feet in length with 8 feet striped access aisle. In addition, the 2-way drive aisle is measured 24 feet in width. The building main entrance is from Rosa Parks Boulevard, and vehicular access is from Paterson Street. 2 doors on the right side of the building provide access to the refuse recyclable area and the sprinkler room. The proposed second through fourth floor plans indicate 3 one-bedroom units and 3 two-bedroom units for a total of 18 residential units for the building. Also, an elevator, 2 staircases, and 184 square feet of tenant storage room are indicated on this floor plan. The one-bedroom units have areas of 609, 614, and 657 square feet, and they contain a kitchen, a living dining area, a laundry mechanical room, and a full bathroom. The 2-bedroom units have areas of 904 square feet, 918, and 920 square feet, and they also contain a kitchen, a living dining area, a laundry mechanical room, and a full bathroom. The proposed roof plan indicates a mechanical area and 2,766 square feet of rooftop terrace and amenity area. All of the residential units meet or exceed the minimum floor area requirement. Drawing A2 is the building elevations. The front elevation view from Rosa Parks Boulevard indicates a 40-foot in height 4-story building. The front elevation indicates a brick veneer and a stucco finish, as well as an aluminum canopy above the building's main entrance. The left side elevation plan, which is the front view from Harrison Street, indicates the parking garage door and a window to the lobby. It also indicates a brick veneer and a stucco finish and 8 double windows on each of the 2nd through 4th floors. The rear elevation view of the building indicates the first floor's rear egress door, the garage opening, and a brick veneer for the first floor and a stucco finish for the upper floors. The 2nd through 4th floors also provide a single and a double window for the rear facade. The right side elevation plan indicates the garage opening, a brick veneer for the first floor, a stucco finish for the upper floors, and 4 double windows for the 2nd through 4th floors. The intent of the RA-2 residential district of the 4th Ward redevelopment plan is to permit a more intensive residential use of land with various types of dwellings. The surrounding existing dwellings consist of older, multifamily dwellings of 2.5-story and 3-story in height, as well as the 16-story Dr. Norman Cotton residential building across Rosa Parks Boulevard from the subject property. Also, the surrounding neighborhood shows some recently approved multifamily residential buildings that have replaced older structures or have been developed on the vacant lots. Some new multifamily buildings along Harrison Street and Rosa Parks Boulevard that have been granted approvals are recent examples of the neighborhood redevelopment. Variances are requested for the following. Front yard setback is 3 feet is required and 0 feet is proposed from Harrison Street. Rear yard setback is 20 feet is required and 15 feet is proposed. Building stories is 3.5 stories is required and 4 stories is proposed. Maximum building coverage is 60% is required and 77% is proposed. Maximum impervious surface coverage is 80% is required and 95% is proposed, and parking is 19 off-street parking spaces are required and 17 parking spaces, including 3 electrical vehicle charging stations, are proposed. As this is a redevelopment area, the planning board must determine whether the granting of the requested variances to allow the number of dwelling units proposed by the applicant is appropriate for the lot and the immediate surrounding area. Harrison Street is a one-way street in a westerly direction, and Rosa Parks Boulevard is a two-way street. Most of the older dwellings along Harrison Street are built to the front property line, and they lack off-street parking, though some dwellings along Rosa Parks Boulevard provide off-street parking on their side and or rear yards. Also, NJ Transit bus stops are observed on Rosa Parks Boulevard in close proximity to the subject property. It shall be the responsibility of the applicant and or the preparer of the plans to obtain a letter from the city engineer indicating the plans have been satisfactorily reviewed prior to the plans being released to the construction official. Surrounding land uses. This proposal is in the Wrigley Park section of the city within the 4th Ward redevelopment plan. The area is zoned residential with neighborhood commercial areas located at some corner intersections, concluding remarks. The applicant estimates the cost of this proposal at approximately $3 million. The applicant should incorporate the design elements contained within the 4th Ward redevelopment plan on the site and within the building. The planning board has approved other construction proposals along Harrison Street and Rosa Parks Boulevard. Some include 242-244 Harrison Street to construct a new 3-story residential building with a total of 6 units on October 5th, 2020. 196 Rosa Parks Boulevard to construct a 3-story mixed-use residential and commercial building on March 12th, 2021. And at 236-238 Harrison Street to construct a new 3-story residential building with a total of 5 units on March 16th, 2022. That is your staff review for this proposal, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Deutsch. Mr. Sarlo, how many witnesses do you have this evening?
Yes, Madam Chairman. I have 2 witnesses, Mr. Matt Evans, who will testify as in the capacity of professional architect, and Mr. T.J. Ritchie, who will testify in the capacity of a professional planner. And as always, I have Mr. Andy Reed here, who is a representative of the applicant if needed.
Okay. All right, so let's begin with Mr. Evans, please.
Thank you. Mr. Evans, please be sworn in.
Yes.
Raise your hand. Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Say your full name for the record.
Matthew Evans, architect, 470 Chamberlain Ave, Paterson, New Jersey.
We accept him as an expert witness. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Mr. Evans, just to lay a foundation, the drawings that you're about to show to the commissioners up on your screen, these drawings were prepared either by yourself or under your direction?
Yes.
Okay, and you're familiar with the site?
Yes.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay, so we have the first sheet, sheet S1. We have updated that, and we have the going to the tax map. We show the site in question on Rosa Parks between Harrison and Fulton, and the properties in the RA2 zone. And we have developed this. It's a little bit different size than some of the other properties. It's 58.69 by 123.11. So it's a little bit different than your standard 50 or 75 foot lots by 100. But that affords us, as I'm going to explain, it gives us more ability to park on the property and access around the site. So get a little better. So the existing conditions plan we show from the survey, which was done in 2019, shows this 2.5-story brick and frame dwelling with a garage in the back, and basically it's a corner lot. And what we would be doing is removing those improvements and providing a new 4-story apartment with a garage below and park a couple spots in the rear. We have perimeter landscaping, all perimeter lighting and security around the property, and going to the zoning table, we're looking for a few variances on this. It's a little bit, as I mentioned, it's a little irregular on the lot, but so we designed this suited just for this site, so it's not a cookie cutter kind of a development. It's a custom building for this particular site. Going to the next sheet, basically we show standard engineering details, soil erosion, for approval by city engineer and HEP. Soil, then as I mentioned, the soil erosion plan. And then we go to the layouts on the floor plan. So looking at the ground floor level, we have access off of Harrison Street, which is a 2-way overhead garage door. And then we have parking for the tenants, which would be underneath the building, and then 2 exterior parking spaces. And then we have 2 sets of fire stairs. We have one in the rear, one in the front. We have the main entrance lobby at the intersection of Rosa Parks and Harrison with a package room, mailboxes, and then we have a fire stair, as I mentioned before. And then we have our, refuse and recycling room, which is behind that sprinkler water room also. We have a hallway that gives us access into that garage for the tenants to go directly into the apartment building from the garage. Going up to the 2nd through 4th floor plan, they're basically consistent. They're all the same layout. It's more efficient. And going from, let me go from the front here, and we have unit 201. We have a large 2-bedroom unit, and as you can see, it's basically we break up the facade with, so we give it more aesthetic appeal, so that creates a little bit more of a dynamic floor plan layout. And we have a 2-bedroom unit, which is 201, 301, 401, and those all have their own independent air conditioning and central air and heating systems, which are independently operated by each tenant and controlled. And then we have laundry. They all have laundry facilities, large walk-in closets, large living, dining, open kitchen design. And then we have a 2-bedroom for unit 202, 302, 402, consistent with the what I explained on the other one. We have a large open kitchen dining room, large bedrooms, and large handicap accessible bathrooms, and all these units will be handicap accessible. So unit 203 is a 1-bedroom. So we have large bedrooms, walk-in closets, and open floor plan for the living space. Going to unit 204 is a 2-bedroom, similar to 202, and we have that large open plan for that. It's 918 square feet. Unit 205 to 405 is a 1-bedroom, same consistent design, independent mechanicals, laundry facilities, handicap accessible unit, an open floor plan. Going to unit 206 to 406, we have another 1-bedroom unit, basically similar to unit 205. So all those units are meet the minimum criteria for the ordinance for unit size. And then we have passive recreation space on the roof, which would be accessed by the stair, and it's 2,766 square feet. For the tenants with, as I mentioned, passive recreation would be a decking, and that would be just for the tenants to use quiet enjoyment of the space. Then the rear section we show on the roof, which has mechanical units. All the perimeter of that roof would have a 4-foot wall, which would protect the tenants, and it's a little higher than is required by code, but we want to be extra safe on that and have that safety factor installed on that. Going to the elevations, we show the Rosa Parks elevation, and as you can see, we have a mix of materials, and I broke up the facade, and also you can see how large those windows are. We have a lot of light and air in these units, so we have large windows, and also you can see we have 9-foot ceilings on all these floors, which gives a nice volume and creates a better living experience. And we have on the first floor, the main entry is basically at the intersection of Harrison and Rosa Parks, with a nice glass store entry, the canopy over that. And as I mentioned, different materials. We have brick, different stuccos and copings to give it more dynamic curb appeal. And looking at, I'll go to the left side elevation, which is on Harrison. We have the garage entry, brick, mix of stucco, cornices broken up vertically and horizontally with, stepping back of the facade to give it more of a dynamic character, so it doesn't become this boxy looking building. You can see the rear elevation with the parking, and then we also show the utility connections, which would be to the back, and that would be for electric and gas meters. So that's hidden from the street. And then looking at the right side elevation, we have open parking below, and then we have refuse to access, and access to the first floor. And as I mentioned, we have nice large open casement windows for all the living and bedrooms. So that's basically what we're proposing on this subject property.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Evans. That would conclude your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. So at this time, I'm going to say let's call, is it Mr. Ritchie who has who's the planner?
That's correct.
All right, let's call him, swear him in.
Swear affirm testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you please state your full name for the record, please?
TJ Ricci, last name is spelled R-I-C-C-I, address is 92 Park Ave, Rutherford, New Jersey.
Is your name Thomas? Give me your full name.
Yes, Thomas, Thomas.
Can you state your credentials, please, for the record?
Yeah, sure. So I have a Bachelor of Arts degree from Rutgers University. I also have a master's degree, also from Rutgers University in City and Regional Planning. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm also a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have approximately 4 years of experience in the field of professional planning. I've been accepted by over 20 boards throughout the state of New Jersey.
Okay, thank you. We accept him as an expert witness. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. You may proceed with your testimony.
All right, so for the benefit of the board and my testimony, I'm just going to share my screen, and I believe that we need to mark this exhibit. Let me know when we can see the screen.
Okay, we can mark that as A1. Mr. Ritchie, what would you call this document?
So this is a simple aerial exhibit showing the site as well as the surrounding neighborhood. It's a 2-sheet exhibit.
Okay, so Madam Court Reporter will be Exhibit A1, 2-sheet exhibit showing the subject property and surrounding area. You can proceed, Mr. Ritchie.
Thank you. So we can see the site outlined here in yellow. The subject site is a single lot. It's a corner lot because it has frontage on Rosa Parks as well as Harrison Street. The first thing you notice when looking at the site, it's much larger than many of the surrounding properties in the neighborhood. It's actually the largest lot on this block. Formerly on the site was a two-story residential dwelling, but it's now vacant. It was demolished sometime last year. Most of the properties in the area are kind of a mix of two-family and multifamily residential developments. Obviously, across Rosa Parks Boulevard is the Dr. Norman Cotton residence. That's Paterson-owned property that offers housing assistance to select residences. Across Harrison Street, we see some townhome developments, and then directly across is another city-owned property that's currently vacant right now. So it's mostly residential in this area. The site is located in a redevelopment area, specifically the 4th Ward redevelopment area, and it's governed by the RA2 zoning requirements. So what the applicant proposes to put on this lot, as you've heard from Mr. Evans, is a 4-story multifamily apartment building with 18 residential units and 17 ground level parking spaces under the building. So this is a use, as Mr. Deutsch stated in his letter, this is the intent of the RA2 zone, use that is permitted in this area. And while we are seeking various C variances, we do feel that many of them we are pretty close to meeting and complying with, and this is an appropriate proposal, especially for this lot. So that being said, for the benefit of the board, I'd like to just briefly go through each variance and the justifications. So we are seeking a variance for the side yard setback. We have 2 side yards. There's one on the northern property line and 1 side yard on the southern property line. So we actually comply with the one on the northern property line, which is good because that's the one that's adjacent to the residence. So it's just a side property line that's fronting on Paterson Street. Generally, this is a street frontage. Apartments are generally located up along the building line. If the building's not encroaching within the right of way, we're still providing a nice 10-foot sidewalk between Harrison Street and the building. So it's not encroaching on the side yard next to another property. We are seeking a rear yard setback variance. That is along the western property. You can see my cursor in the back of the property. So 20 feet is required. 15 feet is proposed. So we're meeting essentially 75% of the required space between the uses. But interestingly enough, if we were fronting on Harrison Street, kind of in the orientation like the adjacent dwellings, this would become the side yard, and we'd only be required, say, a 3-foot side yard setback. So, we are providing a substantial amount of space, 15 feet or so, between these 2 residences. If we were to go, farther and comply, it would essentially be unnecessary to start, increasing the gap between these residences, almost look kind of like an underutilized portion of the lot. So, 15 feet, we are proposing a significant buffer, but not fully requirement. With regards to the stories, 3.5 stories is what's permitted in the RA2, and we are proposing 4, so we are half a story over. Interestingly, we are not only compliant with the height requirement in terms of feet, but we're actually below it by 5 feet. So you're allowed a 45-foot building in this area, and we are only proposing a 40 feet tall building. So, when you look at the requirement of how tall the building or the massing, we actually do comply with that. The added benefit of having that extra story is we're able to get the ground floor parking, which is obviously needed for the site, and then above you have the 3 levels of residential. We're seeking variances for building coverage and impervious coverage. These coverage amounts are very typical of a multifamily apartment building, especially on a lot like this. It's very tough to comply with, these coverage requirements and also try to achieve the parking requirements on the site, because parking, areas obviously require impervious surfaces. So what the design did is essentially trying to balance providing the parking on the site, with not, exceeding the coverage, too much. And then with regards to parking, 19 spaces are required and 17 spaces are proposed. So we almost meet the requirement. We're 2 spaces essentially deficient. So we're providing essentially 90% of the required parking for this building. It's almost a 1-to-1 parking ratio of units to parking spaces on the site, which is very typical of an apartment building in this, on a lot such as this. Additionally, if you look around, a lot of the adjacent uses have either parking in the rear or they have driveways alongside. The housing complex across Rosa Parks has their own lot behind the building. Some townhome developments across Harrison Street do have their own garage. So it's not as if, there's no off-street or on-site parking for the adjacent uses. So there is a lot of parking that is being supplied on-site for the adjacent uses. And like I said, we're only 2 spaces deficient. We almost meet the required parking. If we flip to sheet 2, there are a couple bus stops conveniently located actually right outside the entrance of the building, of the proposed building on Rosa Parks Boulevard. So there is access to NJ Transit bus service in the area. And then lastly, there is a variance required for the parking setback on the northern property line. 3 feet is required and 0 feet is proposed. This design-wise is a result of, the limited amount of space. The way that the parking is laid out, you have a drive aisle in the middle and then parking on both sides of the property. We really need to utilize most of the lot for parking. The advantage, the good thing is that the nearby house does have some fencing up in the rear. Additionally, they do sit a little bit higher than our site, and the design of that dwelling is you kind of walk up a set of stairs on the porch to the first floor. So there is a little bit more of a vertical separation. The parking is located on the ground, and then the windows of the first floor are located approximately half a story higher than, say, our ground floor parking level. So in addition to those justifications, the project as a whole carries out a couple purposes of the municipal land use law. Purpose A, which is promote public health, safety, morals, and welfare. Safety is promoted by, like Mr. Evans mentioned, there's going to be security lighting, there's going to be security video installed surrounding the property. General welfare is promoted by, the project addressing the need for more housing in Paterson, which is something that's mentioned in the master plan and redevelopment plan. The project promotes purpose C of the MLUL, which is provide light, air, and open space. You got that really, really cool, really beneficial amenity area on the roof where people can go and not leave their property, but just go get some fresh air. Kind of provides a little bit of a social component to the building too, so it kind of contributes to that open space as part of an apartment building. And then lastly, purpose I, which is desirable and visual environment. So essentially this proposal is eliminating a pretty substantially sized vacant lot. You always want to try to reduce the vacant properties, and then it's replacing it with a really attractive use for this, right? So we have a large lot, it's a corner lot, so it's a perfect location for an apartment building, of this size, and it fits in, with the neighborhood. So in addition to that, I think we're very in line with the Fourth Ward redevelopment plan. A couple of the goals are revitalize the Fourth Ward and improve the quality of life for residents. I think that, this project addresses that goal by providing, access to new high-quality housing units. And then it also makes mention to assemble parcels for larger development projects and to identify larger properties and provide opportunities for more substantial redevelopment projects. I think we kind of hit the nail on the head with this project. This is one of those kind of unique parcels that's like, okay, we have 2 families, 4 families, 6 families in the area, but this is, you could tell this is a lot more substantially sized. It's perfectly slated for, a mid-sized apartment building with the parking underneath. And then do want to, like I said, eliminate undeveloped properties as they typically contribute to more blight. So I think the applicant has, proposed a really nice proposed development for this site, and it really fits in with the surrounding neighborhood. So that being said, I think that these variances, although we are seeking quite a few, I think they're pretty minor in nature. I think the massing, the building, and the use is for the most part compliant, and we meet a lot of or exceed a lot of the other requirements. I think we fit in within the surrounding neighborhood. I think there's going to be a lot of positives for this project, specifically providing new high-quality housing units to residents and potential residents of Paterson. And in my professional opinion as a planner, I think that these variances can be granted under what we call the C2 balancing act, or the C2 benefits versus detriments, meaning all the positives of this project outweigh any substantial detriments to the surrounding community. So I think that these variances in this project can be approved. That concludes my direct, but I'm happy to answer any planning or zoning related questions regarding my testimony. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie.
Okay, I'm not gonna call, Mr. Anderson yet because, I'm not sure if he's needed, we will call him in the end and swear him in. Okay, I know he's available, he always is, so that's a good thing. All right, so at this time, I'd like to open it up. Just bear with me. I'd like to open it up to the, public, and I'm gonna ask them to please call in if you have any questions on 973-321-1579. The meeting ID is 711-680-001. I am going to allow 2 minutes for those people to call in, and I'm gonna allow 3 minutes for questions on this application, okay? So, Madam Secretary, I believe you told me we have someone on the line here.
Yes, we do. Her name is Wendella Canty. Mrs. Canty, do you hear me, ma'am? I got it. Okay. Thank you. Do you hear me? Can you unmute yourself? Hit *6 on your phone. Miss Canty, *6 will unmute you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
I
unmuted.
can hear you.
Okay, please state your name and address. Ms. Canty, please state your name and address for the record.
Wendella Canty, 164 Rosa Parks Boulevard, Paterson.
Okay, your question, please?
Questions, comments. Well, I'm calling to oppose this project. And I want to say, last year, back in May, when they did demolish the building, I spoke with the person named Nick, who said he was one of the partnering investors. And I had questioned about what they were going to do with the property, and he, said that they were trying to build it up so that residents would be able to purchase the homes that they built, and that they were planning to build 4 2-family houses on that property. So I was under the impression that that's what they were doing to try to get people to become homeowners and live in the communities that they, grew up in. So I'm very disappointed that they decided to propose to do this building with 18 apartments. I think that's going to be too close to my home, to my house. I'm literally right next door to the lot. I don't think it fits. Well, I know it doesn't. It's not a likeness of the other houses that's on this block. There's only 3 other. Well, with me, there's 3 other houses that's on the block. So the one that we're talking about, 168, I believe, would have been 4 houses on the whole block. So the apartment building will not be in likeness to the other houses. There will be extra traffic. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about loitering, in front of the building. They mentioned that parking, they were gonna provide parking. But my concern is already there are people walking 2 blocks to park in front of my house because there's no parking. And then the parking, the houses, apartment building that they have on Governor Street, they're not utilizing that parking space totally because they're parking here a block away in front of my house.
Ms. Canty, I do understand your dilemma there with the parking. However, they are providing parking, and if you can like kind of wind up your comments, I can put the Mr. Anderson on, and he can address some of this.
Yes, I know they're providing parking, but all of those tenants are not utilizing that parking. And I've asked because it's something to do with the cost of the parking. So they're choosing to park on the street. So there isn't sufficient parking.
Okay, so again, I'm gonna have Mr. Anderson answer, respond to your concerns. Let me put it that way, okay?
Okay.
Do you have any other comments that you like? I understand you're worried about it being too close. It looks like all the homes over there are kind of close, but I would rather have Mr. Anderson respond.
Yeah. So, but I want to know what happened. Was it initially a plan to build 2-family houses,
Okay.
or was that just the front?
Well, Mr. Anderson would be probably more apt to answer that. Okay, he is the property manager for this company, so basically Mr. Anderson would be the key person here to answer that question. It would not be the architect.
Okay.
The architect gets the plans and the planner, reaches out regarding the plans, but it has nothing to do with previous plans that might have been in place. So let me have Mr. Anderson sworn in, please.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Say your full name for the record, please.
Andy Reid, REID, Director of Development for JCM Investors, and this entity 166 Rosa Parks, BFRGSHJC.
Okay, so just again, I want to reiterate that I call him Mr. Anderson, but he is Mr. Reed. Okay, but they're one and the same person. Okay, So all right, so you heard her comments, did you not, Andy?
Yes, I did. Yes,
Okay.
I did.
Can you respond a little bit? She was wondering what happened to the previous plan of the 4 homes, and then she was also concerned about, it's not even built yet, so I don't know how we can talk about people not using the parking, but just see if you can respond, okay?
Okay, first of all, this site here, let's address our thing about, so close to home. I believe Mr. Rishi testified that based on the zone ordinance, we meet the setback for that property line that's adjoining to her property. Second of all, we have all the parking that's required except for we asked for variance for 2 parking spaces. This parking will be available for our tenants at that location for no cost at all. So they don't have to pay for the parking there, and if the needs arise, they need parking, we will encourage them to park on the site. Second of all, as far as loitering, again, as I testified at all the other properties, besides having a well-lit building with camera system that's monitored 24/7 by our in-house security team, monitored by the police department, and we have roving patrol that monitors our sites, and we do not allow any loitering in front of any of our properties. Our properties are very well maintained. We take care of all our garbage, our refuse ourselves. None of that is borne on the city taxpayers. So we take care of our properties. We maintain them. The parking is available for at no additional cost. We had no pre-plans about a 4-unit. That was someone that was attempting to buy the property prior to us. I believe Mr. Sorrow named the principals that's under this ownership and partnership with, JCM, and I don't know of no Nick that's a partner, in this, project.
Oh, I've seen him at the office, he's there. That's the name he gave me.
I'm chair testifying under oath that we have no Nick that's a
Okay.
partner in this, project.
Well, maybe he gave me an alias name.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, ma'am.
I said maybe he gave me an alias name, but that's what he said that it was gonna be, for a total of 4 houses, 2-family houses, like the ones that you did on Montgomery and Lawrence Street.
Okay,
He said they would be like those houses.
but, if you don't mind, I don't wanna confuse it, stuff that was done on Montgomery and Lawrence was my own personal properties, has nothing to do with the entity that I represent. And so, like, again, I apologize if somebody misspoke to you. I was involved with this in the planning stage, and we never proposed a plan. So this has been our plan, from the beginning, and I was deeply involved in the planning along with our architect, Mr. Evans, and the principals of this company in the design of this site here. So if somebody misspoke or told you something erroneous, I personally apologize to you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think maybe it was, he definitely works with your and the other investors, but maybe he said that because they were demolishing the house without a permit, and he knew how upset I was about it because they hadn't secured the area, they hadn't done what they should have done to make sure the residents or the community was in a safe environment. And I spoke to him. I told him that I run a daycare, in-home daycare, and you sent me a letter the day before the house was going to be demolished, so I had no time to prepare to cover anything for the debris, the dust, none of that stuff. So he knew how upset I was, and maybe he said that, just to calm me down.
Again, Ms. Kennedy, I apologize for that, but that letter that you received, it also had my name and my personal cell phone number. If you had any concerns during the demolition, and probably did have permits for the demolition, because I personally took care of securing the permits for the demolition. I'm sorry if there was any inconvenience to you, if anything I can do to make it up to you, I have no problem with that. But, the property has since, been demolished. And again, what I'm saying is that we have no Nick that's a principal in our company that can make a decision on as far as the development of this project.
I don't wanna cut anybody off.
I understand.
I just don't wanna cut anybody off. Excuse me, Ms. Canty, I don't wanna cut anybody off, but to be honest with you, I wanna talk about, your concerns about this property that's built, not what was supposed to have been built. I think that we need to talk about this. We understand, I think he addressed, the fact that it's very close to your property, but they do have the parking, there'll be no one's gonna be paying for parking, so I think we've kind of addressed most of your concerns.
Yeah.
So I hope if you don't have anything else, I'm gonna have to move on.
All right, so, but my observation also, with, there are mature trees that are, surrounding the property. Will those be torn down? Will they be replaced? Because those also represent the likeness of the other homes that are here.
Yeah, if the trees are not on the site, if they're at the curb or the sidewalk area, we will not be destroying it. I mean, actually, we love green space ourselves, maybe. So the trees will, enhance the beauty of the neighborhood. So we will not be interested in just cutting trees.
Absolutely.
In the neighborhood.
Right.
Only thing we would do to a tree if there are some, obviously, if this property is approved, there's some engineering requirements, and one of the engineering requirements is to bring the sidewalks and curbs up to the standards of the ordinance of the city of Paterson. So the most that we would do to a tree at that point is maybe prune the roots so that we could put in new sidewalks and curbing. But as far as just taking down trees, actually, we love trees ourselves, and we love landscaping ourselves.
Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also, and if you saw that letter that, I sent to you, my name and number is on this.
Yeah.
If you have any concerns or questions on construction, please feel free to reach out to me ASAP.
I will.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much for your comments. Do we have, Madam Secretary, do we have any other callers?
No, Madam Chair, we have no other callers.
Okay, so then at this time, I will open it up to the commissioners. Commissioners, questions of either Mr. Evans, okay, Mr. Reed, or Mr. Ritchie?
This is Commissioner Cleve.
Yes, Commissioner Cleese, please go ahead.
Is there, excuse me, is there some kind of way that the aesthetic of the building could, fit into the aesthetic of the community, how that community actually looks? I'm not sure.
Are you talking about the aesthetics?
Yes. I'm not
So-
sure. I'm not exactly sure, how many homes or how many buildings are already up. But is it some kind of way that, you know, the materials that are used could fit into the aesthetics of what's already there?
Yes, I'm pretty sure our architect, Mr. Evans, I don't know if he prepared a rendering for this year, but he could address that. But we will, and I personally guarantee you, we will make sure it's aesthetically pleasing, and a modern look for the community, something that the community could be proud of, something I would personally be proud of. Because I'm putting my personal pride and joy into this project also. So Matt, if you can maybe describe some of the materials that we're gonna use, for the, exterior of the site here.
So what we do is we use a lot of earth tones, and we want to keep it consistent with, a more pleasing visual experience. So we have a mix of, as I mentioned, earth tones, and we have different. We have like a two-tone stucco finish. It's a fine stucco finish along with brick facade. We have nice large black frame windows, which are casement windows, and they allow a lot of light and air into the apartments and also give the elevations a more a pleasing look to it. So what we've done with a lot of these different developments is we do change it around. We don't have one simple design that we copy over and over. We take each site and we treat it as an individual piece, as an individual architectural element. So, as I mentioned before, we have broken up the facades to give it more shadow lines, and the cornices give it more of an classical architectural look.
What color is can I ask what the color scheme is on the outside of the building?
Well, we use it, like I said, earth tones. We don't have exactly on this one, but it's going to be brick, and it's going to have two different color stuccos on it. And
What are the colors though? That's what I'm asking you. If it's gonna be brick, that should fit in because you've got the other apartments over there.
right.
That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. I mean, what are the color of the stucco? What's the color?
Well, we have it's like
Browns and the beiges?
color.
Yes.
We're gonna, the dark stuff. What's that?
It's like the
Brown
brown,
and
it's like
beiges?
the brown, the beiges, like that, that would blend in with the, brick and the cornices on the building.
Okay.
So it's like a coffee color would be the darker one, and then we have more of a lighter color for
Like
the
coffee, espresso, those type of colors.
Yeah.
So, Commissioner Cleaves?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, did you hear what they're saying then?
Yep. Another
Okay.
quick question.
Yes.
Material. Are these buildings, solar friendly? You know, I know you're using like dark colors, but is that good for like solar energy for the environment?
Well, we have the rooftop is will be set up for the availability of solar panels. It's a flat roof, so if the applicant does provide solar panels on that roof, it would be hidden from the neighborhood. So aesthetically, you would not see those panels. They'd be behind the parapet walls. But we do do have the ability to provide that if they choose in the future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions, commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Ahmed. You're muted. You're muted, Commissioner Ahmed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, just to refresh myself, this is, anybody can answer, or maybe Mr. Reed can answer. What is the lot size and what do we had before in this proposed property?
Mr. Evans could give the lot size. Previous, it's a big size lot. It's more than your typical building lot, and it was a large size.
What is it, like 100 by 50 or?
It's a little bit. I think it's like 60 by 125. If I'm not mistaken, Matt. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But
Okay, that's fine. But what do we have like next to this proposed property? Like single families, two families house mostly?
Like two families, but directly across the street we had a senior citizen building, and a couple feet down on Harrison, this board approved a little over a year ago a 20-unit 5-story building. So this is not going to be a 5-story building, but we have a 20-unit 5-story building, about maybe 250 feet to the west of this site.
Mr. Reed, anything you bring in this board, it will pass, and it has to pass. Okay, that we know already. But my question to you, if you have a single family or two family house right next to this, would you like to have somebody come here and build 4-story building with 18 units? Would you like it?
Well, Mr. Ahmed, this is part of RA2.
No. My question is, would you like it? I know you everybody there like take the advantage of the system, but would you like it? If you are so generous in this city.
Mr. Mayor, I really understand your line of question, and we don't take advantage of the system. We are we are answering the call for the city's redevelopment plan. So we believe that we are doing with the
we have guns problems. So imagine if you have a 2-family house and you rent it out, it's not gonna be more than 2, 3, or 8 people. But if you have like 18 units buildings, then of course you're gonna have like 10 times more people than a 2-story building.
Matt, can I ask you, you said there's other large buildings in the area. Do you have those aerial shots?
Why?
Does Mr. Ritchie, anybody have them?
I have an aerial that I could share.
Could you, please?
And like I said, we have 198-200 Harrison Street.
Madam Chair, can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. If they have one building like this, they are doing as an example of this. Okay, we have on this block, 100 feet away, this building, so we're gonna build another one. And then they go next block, they're gonna say, okay, we have this building, 5, 10-story building, so why not build a bigger building than this or same size as this? So they are just like continuing doing it, so it's not gonna stop. I know they have more buildings, but my question is, all these buildings bringing who? Bringing problems, bringing more people. They're not bringing the.
Hey, that was
Okay.
the plan on that applicant. I'm not sure that's the planning and zoning question that could be held against this applicant. I think that's a different, those are different questions for different groups of people, but maybe not the planning board. I think that doesn't have to be, held against the applicant in this particular application.
Understood.
Now, I feel bad that the commissioner is misinformed because obviously he don't know our sites and we don't have these type of issues at our site. And we've raised a lot of blight, a lot of vacant and abandoned properties and everything. We continue to do that. The only thing we're doing is answering the call of the redevelopment in different areas of the city of Paterson. We don't make the zoning laws and the rules and regulations for areas. That's done by the planning board and the city council. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, understood. I can see, and I think most people can see, I see a lot of houses mushroomed together very close to begin with, but I do see it. I'm not so sure that if one goes up, there's gonna be 5 more going up on the next block. I don't know about that. I think that remains to be seen. The lot has to be empty and the lot has to be available. And sometimes Paterson, we just don't have the lots available. But again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That is what we're all about. I believe that Mr. Acevedo did explain what goes on with the redevelopment plan. And it is very costly to do that, I do know. And sometimes, like I said, I've also been an example of that. And I know that as much as I didn't care for it, we have to move forward and life goes on and somehow we all adjusted. But again, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna ask if there are any other questions, okay, of the applicant or the architect or the planner. All right, Mr. Ritchie, you can take the site plan down, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, if no one else has any questions, then I'm gonna ask Mr. Sarlo to please summarize.
All right, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So we certainly heard, the commissioners heard the testimony of Mr. Ritchie and Mr. Evans. They heard the responsive comments by Mr. Reed, a representative of the developer, the project owner, the property owner. And I think we all heard the comments and concerns of the one neighbor and also some of the commentary by the one commissioner. I thank the board's counsel for going through the history of what it takes to designate an area in need of redevelopment. I know this board deals with not only applications that require variances from zoning, but also variances from an area in need of redevelopment. I think that's the importance of the differential is that when you meet the intent of an area in need of redevelopment, it carries a lot of weight. As Councilor said, he didn't say that, but as Councilor said, the process is very intensive. A lot of individuals acting on behalf of the government is weighing in on this plan, the public has the opportunity to weigh in. It starts right here with this board, whether or not these, everybody on the screen, commissioners were here in 2004, 2005, I think was the time frame, or you weren't. Your predecessors, your colleagues, had the opportunity to evaluate, hire a professional planner, someone like Mr. Ritchie, who was experienced in planning. They studied the area, they presented it to the commissioners of the planning board. The commissioners of the planning board had the opportunity to ask questions. They had to meet certain statutory criteria. They had to make a recommendation to the city council, and the city council then had to vote by an ordinance. So not only one reading, but two readings to declare the area as an area in need of redevelopment, and then a whole another process again to come up with the redevelopment plan. So it is a very intensive process, and when a developer, a property owner brings an application to the board that meets the intent of the redevelopment plan, I think that carries a lot of weight. And Mr. Deutsch has right in his report from paragraph 14 that he read is it is the intent of the RA2 residential district. The fourth ward redevelopment plan is to permit a more intensive residential use of land with various types of dwellings. Mr. Deutsch didn't opine that. If you open up the redevelopment plan, that's the verbiage that you were going to see. He was just reciting it for the benefit of the commissioners. And this application is consistent with that intent. The other comment I want to make, I guess there was a comment made once or twice with regard to, paraphrasing that it's a given. I personally, as an attorney at law representing my client, take that personally. When I represent an applicant before this board or any other board, and I assemble, along with my client, assemble a team of professionals, we don't take any application for granted. Whether it's a one-story house or it's a whole neighborhood redevelopment, every application has to stand on the merits. We have an obligation to our client, we have an obligation to this board to present the merits of the case. Every single variance has to be outlined, every single variance has to be proved in accordance with the statutory criteria. That's all we could do. We could do our best to present our case consistent with the law, advocating on behalf of our clients, and then it's up to the commissioners to make that decision. Commissioners can be influenced one way or the other by the dialogue that occurs between them, by some of the members of the public that may discuss. But trust me, any attorney or any professional, whether it's an architect, an engineer, or a professional planner, who walks into a meeting, and I know we didn't walk into this meeting, but we're on a Zoom or a form of Zoom, and comes in with the attitude or the perception that an application's a layup and it's going to be approved, they're just doing a disservice to their client, and it's probably not going to be a good presentation to the commissioners. So I can assure you, when we appear, when I represent a client and gather the professionals around me to provide the testimony, we're coming in here with the mindset that, it's a level playing field, and we have to do our job to convince the commissioners that the project is not only a good project, that's from a practical standpoint, but more importantly, the variances that we are requesting meet the statutory criteria. And I believe in this particular case, with the foundation laid by Mr. Evans and the presentation of the architectural plans and the variances that were laid out by Mr. Ritchie and the proofs that he put on related to the variances, they do meet the statutory criteria and applicable case law, and that this board can find favorably on this application as presented. And as always, I know you're all volunteers. I sincerely thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. I also would like to say something. I just think that yes, everybody would like to have a two-family house, but not everybody can afford a two-family house either. This is a rental unit, and apparently it's needed, because if it wasn't needed, this is my own personal opinion. In my mind, if it wasn't needed, okay, then why would you keep building them? These places must be rented, but you wouldn't be building the larger units, you would be building the two-family homes. So I'm beginning to think that there is a need, there's a definite need for these units, and they are rentals, and not everybody can afford a two-family home. So I don't know, build it and they come, is that how it is? I don't know. But thank you for your comments, Mr. Sarlo. So at this time, I'd like to ask if anyone would like to make a motion on this application. Anyone? Okay, I'm gonna make the motion. Bear with me.
Okay. Ready?
What? Yeah, I'm waiting. Just wait 1 minute. I'm trying to get it up here so I can see it. Excuse me.
Okay. Problem.
Okay. We're not calling this, or we could say JCM Investors, also known as Rosa Parks SHG.
Madam Chair, I'll read it. Madam Chair, I'll read it. It's 166 Rosa Parks, PFRG space SHG space JG LLC. Did I get that right, Mr. Sarlo?
That's correct, Counselor.
Okay, I move that the Board Attorney prepare a resolution, granting, and I don't have, I'm sorry to say, it's site plan approval and bulk variances on this one. I think that's all we have.
Yes, it is,
I'm not mistaken. Okay. Okay, second by Commissioner Lorenzo.
I also want to make a comment, if that's possible, even while we're voting.
Yes, go ahead.
I know sometimes it looks hard, like the Commissioner Ahmed was saying, but they go through the whole procedure to present the application. They spend money on buying the property and presenting the plans to the board. It's also very hard to do something like that. So we, as a commissioner, we just have to look for the better of the city. And I believe this is gonna help the city more than having a single family in a property like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lorenzo. Okay, continue with the vote, Madam Chair.
Yes. Oh, Chair, thank you.
No, I'm sorry, yes, I now made you YM, it doesn't, you can have it, okay?
Just
All right, so anyway, I made the motion, Commissioner Lorenzo made the second, okay, and just, let's go with the vote.
Okay, Commissioner Ahmed?
I'm sorry, I have to say no.
Thank you. Commissioner Cleaves?
I'm torn. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Would you like me to return back to you before I finish the vote?
Yes, can you please?
Absolutely. Commissioner Lidanzo?
Yes.
Commissioner Santana?
Yes.
Commissioner Amar?
Yes.
Commissioner Figueroa?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Cleaves?
I'm gonna say no.
Thank you. Chairwoman Northrop?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative and 2 against. Mr. Aquaviva?
Thank you, Commissioners.
That's an approval, Madam Secretary.
All right, thank you everyone for your time, your comments, it's all
Thank you.
well taken. It's all well taken. All right, so,
Thank you very much.
okay, thank you. All of you have a good evening. My question is for,
Just want to say something to Mr. Ray.
yes.
Okay, Mr. Ray, it's nothing personal. Don't take it anything personal. It's nothing. It's just like I'm I'm just talking, I'm just saying, like, what I would do, like, if I were next to this building, and this is how I see, I know you're doing it, like, the way you were supposed to do it, by the books and everything, but I think it's, if you consider it a little bit in the next building, next project, instead of having all, like, big, huge buildings right next to the small, one family or two family, maybe it will be nicer.
Well, okay,
Thank you.
Commissioner, I love you too. I want you to have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you on another meeting. Thank you,
okay, there we
Commissioner.
go. Now we're all kumbaya. Okay, so, all right, so, okay, so in the meantime, Mr. Deutsch, when is our next meeting?
June 1st.
What?
Wednesday, June 1st.
Okay, can you just, I think you know some other meetings throughout, can you just lay out the meetings?
Yes.
You have them handy, please
Yes,
tell
I
everyone.
do.
Okay, okay.
Absolutely do. They are, the regular meetings in June are Wednesday, June 1st and Wednesday, June 16th. There are 2 special meetings in June, Monday, June 6th, and Wednesday, June 29th.
Wait. I really thought, oh, June 29th. Okay, that's a special meeting?
Yes, that is the 5th Wednesday of the month.
Alright. Okay. Alright, I'm sorry, I don't, for some reason, I just thought it was a different day, but okay, fine. Everybody got those meetings down? We're good? Everybody? Alright, wonderful.
Yes, Commissioner, please, when do we get a break?
You have a 2-week break right now. Please take advantage of it.
That tells you how busy we all are. So anyway, it is what it is. You are busy.
Actually, the vacation is in August. We have 1 meeting and then we're off till September.
You're talking about the zoning board, not the planning board.
I know, and also yours is in,
Well, just take advantage of this 2 weeks because it seems like we're always so busy. So, with a lot of redevelopment and everything else. So, all right. Thank you everyone for your time this evening. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, so we're all great. And I'll see you all at the next meeting. Okay?
We need a motion to close, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I make the motion to close.
Commissioner Lorenzo, seconded by Commissioner Santana. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're all
Good
good.
night.
Good night, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.